Hello and welcome to PHOTOPLAY Paper's YouTube channel. It's Angie Cimbalo here today with a card featuring the new Say It with Stamps Falling Leaves Pierced Coverplate die. Let's take a look at the products we'll use today. First, this is the Coverplate die we're going to use. It cuts this beautiful leaf pierced pattern, just little dots into the top of your card. And it also cuts around the edge. So you have this beautiful panel with dotted leaves all through it. It is the right size for a mini slimline card, the number 6 size. Next, we're going to use this beautiful word die. It has 2 dies in the set. One is the word die and the other is the shadow for the word. You can use it together or separately, and it goes perfectly with a matching clear stamp set, also called Beautiful. The large Beautiful word stamp can fit perfectly into the die, so there are a lot of options with this set. And look at all those sweet sentiment strips that you can use. Some you can combine and others you can use alone. We're also going to use the sentiment strips die set to cut our strips. There are so many different sizes of these dies, and look how they fit perfectly with the stamps. It makes it so easy to have a straight, clean cut on your sentiment strips, no matter what size you choose. And then from the Just Married stamp set, we're going to use one of the small heart dies. I had a hard time deciding which one. I think I ended up using the one on the right. And lastly, we're going to use the number 6 blank card base. These are already scored and ready to use. Okay, so let's get to the heart of our video today, and that is using up scrap pieces of cardstock. I don't know about you, but I have so many scraps of cardstock in my craft room, and I love looking for ways to use them up. So today we're going to use these scraps on our background along with 3 colors of inks. Here are the inks that I chose, but you can choose any that you like because this project works with anything you have. With my paper trimmer, I cut a lot of different size strips. There's really no set way to do this. Just cut all different widths of strips because you're going to mix and match the sizes to create your background. Once they were all cut, I took a piece of copy paper and I folded it in half to ink my strips on. I went with the ink pad directly onto the strips. I did the same thing, adding the different colors to all the strips I'd cut. Here you can see all the strips I cut and inked, along with some that I left white and some black ones that I cut too. Now, to make the background, I decided I wanted to add these strips to vellum instead of cardstock. So I took a piece of vellum and I lightly marked around the cover plate die with a pencil so I knew where to glue my strips. I'll speed up the video and play some music while I glue down the strips, and I'll be back in just a minute. Now that I have most of them glued down, I turned it over and cut off the excess because I had a few longer strips hanging over the edge that I could use to fill in the bottom corner. So once I was finished and had cut off all the excess off the back, I set a large acrylic block on it to help it really stick down completely to the vellum. I'll go ahead and fold my card base and double check it to make sure the die will cover the whole card front. Then once I'm sure the glue is dried, I'll die cut the cover plate from my background of scrap strips. I used some removable tape to make sure the die won't slip or move while it goes through my die cutting machine. And here's the big reveal. Be very careful as you pull the die cut from the die to make sure that none of your strips stick to the die and they stay adhered to your vellum panel. And there's your fun background with all those pierced details that continue across all of the different colored stripes. Let's look up close. You can also see that the vellum is quite flimsy, so adhering it to a nice solid card base will really help it hold up and be strong. Okay, now we need a little heart cut out from the same reddish color that I used on some of the stripes. And for the beautiful word die, I cut the shadow from black cardstock and the word from white cardstock, and I glued them together. For the sentiment strip, I chose Just the Way You Are. There's so many beautiful strips to choose from, and you can combine different ones. You can combine them before the beautiful or after or even both. Here you can see me stamping the sentiment strip, and then I'll cut it with the strip die that matches that length. Now it's time to put the card together. I start by gluing the big word die at an angle, and next I add the sentiment strip. Lastly, I add the cute little heart. Once it's all together, I add glossy accents to the heart. Sometimes I struggle with glossy accents, one with getting a bubble in it, and two, sometimes it doesn't want to flow all the way to the edges of the heart. So I use a straight pen to pop any bubbles and to help spread the liquid to the edges. As long as you do this right after you put it on there, it will settle down and not have any marks in it. If you wait even a minute or two, it's too late and you mess up the smooth top. I probably should have put the panel on the card base before I put the glossy accents on it, but it worked out anyway. Next time I'll do it that way. And here's a look at my card. I just love that cool background and the way the pierced die cut through all the layers so easily. This die is pretty just on its own, on plain white or colored cardstock, and I'll be using it for a lot of backgrounds. I hope you enjoyed today's project and will come back often to the PHOTOPLAY Papers and Say It with Stamps YouTube channel for more inspiration from the design team. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you next time. Happy crafting!